Hey everyone, today I'm bringing you an incredible story of courage, redemption, and unexpected love. It's about a billionaire who walked away from everything to protect what matters most. His daughter, only to be pulled back into danger when someone from his past needs saving. If you enjoy stories of heroism, family bonds, and second chances, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think. Now, let's begin. Billionaire single dad rescues CEO from kidnapping. A daughter's gratitude says it all. The rain hammered Seattle like tears from heaven. Richard Lane stood at his penthouse window, a ghost worth billions, who couldn't buy back what mattered most. Daddy. Emily's voice shattered his solitude. His 9-year-old daughter clutched her teddy bear, Elena's green eyes staring from their daughter's face. Why is that lady on TV crying? Richard's heart clenched. The news showed Olivia Hart, CEO of Hart Industries, her composed face cracking under pressure. Even through the screen, he could see her hands trembling. She's scared, Daddy, like when Mommy didn't come home. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Richard dropped to his knees, pulling Emily close. 3 years since a drunk driver stole Elena, since he'd held her hand as machines fell silent. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. Sweetheart, he whispered, voice breaking. Emily pulled back, studying him with that penetrating gaze. But you could help her. You're the strongest daddy in the whole world. Mommy always said you protect people. Richard's eyes burned. Elena had said that, usually with exasperation, when he'd come home late from another security consultation. He'd protected everyone except the one person who mattered most. I don't do that anymore, Em. Now I just protect you. But she needs help. Emily's bottom lip quivered. What if bad people hurt her like they hurt Mommy? On screen, Olivia spoke about refusing to back down, about exposing the truth. Richard remembered her fierce determination from 5 years ago. I'm not for sale, Mr. Lane, she declared when he'd tried to buy her company. Not my integrity, not my soul. His secure phone buzzed. Marcus, his former security chief. Heart situation critical. Kidnapping imminent. Tonight, Richard's hands shook. Not his problem. He'd walked away from that life, built walls around Emily's world. He was a father now, nothing more. Daddy. Emily touched his face, finding tears he didn't know had fallen. Are you sad about the lady? I'm sad about a lot of things, baby. Emily hugged him tight. Mommy said heroes don't wear capes. They wear love in their hearts. You have lots of love, Daddy. Maybe you could share some. After Emily fell asleep, Richard stood in his study, staring at the concealed safe. Inside lay remnants of another life: tactical gear, weapons, skills that corporate boardrooms could never erase. Elena's voice echoed, "You're not living, Richard. You're just existing. Our daughter needs to see that helping others is the greatest strength there is." The news had moved on, but Olivia's face remained burned in his mind. She had kind eyes. Emily was right. Eyes that believed in justice, in truth, in doing what was right, even when it cost everything. Outside, Seattle's skyline glittered with false promises. Somewhere among those lights, evil men plotted to silence a woman whose only crime was refusing to be corrupted. Emily's drawing caught his eye. Figure in black, standing between a little girl and dark shapes. Daddy protecting everyone scrawled across the top. Richard's decision crystallized. He couldn't save Elena, but by God, he could save Olivia Hart. He could show his daughter that heroes did exist, that love meant taking action. He opened the safe. Morning shattered Richard's sleepless night. He'd spent hours studying intelligence from Marcus, memorizing patterns. The Donovan Syndicate had Olivia. The thought consumed him as he prepared Emily's breakfast pancakes, shaped like butterflies. Though his hands trembled, cutting strawberries into hearts like Elena used to. Daddy, you look scared. Emily climbed onto her chair, still in unicorn pajamas. Richard forced a smile. Just tired, sweetheart. Did you have bad dreams about Mommy again? The question destroyed him. Yes, he'd dreamed of Elena. But now those dreams mixed with visions of Olivia bound, beaten, afraid, something like that. He kissed Emily's forehead. Mrs. Chen will take you to school today. Daddy has meetings. Emily's eyes studied him with uncomfortable intensity. Meetings about helping the lady. His throat closed. His daughter saw through every wall. I prayed for her last night. Emily interrupted. I asked Mommy to watch over her. Mommy watches over people now, right? Yes, baby, she does. Then Mommy will help you save her. Emily beamed. Mommy always helped you be brave. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the face of fear. 20 minutes later, after dropping Emily at school, Richard transformed. In his gym, he'd already bloodied his knuckles, pounding the heavy bag until his body remembered what his mind tried to forget. His phone buzzed. A video file. Richard's blood turned to ice. Olivia sat bound to a chair, blood trickling from her split lip, but her eyes still blazed with defiance. I know you're watching this. She spoke to the camera. Tell my employees the truth matters. Tell them. A hand cracked across her face. Richard's phone creaked in his grip. But Olivia straightened, spat blood, and smiled. Is that all you've got? I've faced hostile takeovers with more punch. Another blow. Richard memorized the hand-scarred knuckles, prison tattoos. He'd find that hand. Break every bone. 24 hours, a voice growled. Then we start removing pieces. The video ended. Richard stood perfectly still, rage crystallizing into purpose. Elena's voice echoed. You protect people, Richard. It's who you are. He'd failed Elena, but Olivia faced deliberate evil, and Richard had the skills to stop it. The weapons safe opened. Each piece lifted with reverence to Sig Sauer from Afghanistan. The ceramic knife, the tactical gear. But it was Elena's picture. He touched glass. I'm sorry I became someone you couldn't be proud of. But maybe I can still make it right. His reflection showed a stranger, or perhaps the stranger was who he'd been these past 3 years. This man had purpose beyond survival. Mrs. Chen appeared in the doorway. Emily told me about the lady on TV. She said you're going to save her like a superhero. I'm no hero, Mrs. Chen, no. Then why do you look like a man preparing to die for someone he's never truly met? Richard had no answer. Or perhaps the answer was too complex that Olivia Hart represented every choice he'd failed to make. That saving her might balance the cosmic scales. Take care of Emily, he said. If I don't, you will come back. That little girl already lost one parent. She will not lose another. As he left the penthouse, each step took him further from safety and closer to redemption. Somewhere in Seattle, Olivia Hart endured torture rather than break. She faced her captors with Elena's courage, Emily's pure heart. Time to remember. Time to become the man his daughter believed in. Time to bring Olivia home. Die trying. The warehouse district reeked of rust and decay. Richard watched the guards' patterns from the shadows. Lazy, complacent men who believed themselves untouchable. Inside, Olivia was running out of time. Marcus's voice crackled through his earpiece. 12 hostels. She's in the sub-basement. Richard, she's in bad shape. Bad shape. Clinical words that meant blood and pain. Richard's hands tightened on his weapons as he remembered her defiant smile through split lips. There's more, Marcus continued. They're selling her tonight. A buyer's coming, selling her, like property. The CEO who'd built an empire, reduced to merchandise. Richard moved like smoke through the perimeter. The first guard never saw him, a shadow materializing from darkness. Ceramic knife finding the carotid with surgical precision. He infiltrated through a forgotten maintenance tunnel. Emerging in the sub-basement, 2 guards played cards near a reinforced door. Olivia's prison. He could hear voices inside, the sound of impact. They were hurting her again. Rage flooded his system, channeled into cold purpose. He neutralized the guards silently, then worked on the lock. As it clicked open, he heard Olivia's voice, weak but unbroken. I'll die before helping you destroy innocent lives. Brave words, Victor Donovan replied. Perhaps we start with your fingers. Go to hell. The slap was loud even through steel. Richard's lockpick slipped, drawing blood. 3 more seconds. The door opened. Richard took in the scene. Instantly Olivia bound to a chair, face swollen, blood staining her blouse. Victor standing over her with 2 bodyguards. Time slowed. Richard struck like divine judgment. The first bodyguard fell to the knife. The second to his Sig Sauers, whispered death. Victor stumbled backward, reaching for his gun. Wait, Victor gasped as Richard pinned him. You don't know who you're dealing with. You're already dead, Richard growled. The only question is how much you suffer. But Olivia's voice stopped him. Richard, don't become like them. He turned, truly seeing her condition. Both eyes blackened, cigarette burns on her arms, but alive. Gloriously alive. Hello, Olivia, he said softly. Despite everything, she smiled. Hello, Richard. Fancy meeting you here. Can you walk? I'll crawl if I have to. God, her courage humbled him. Richard zip-tied Victor and freed Olivia. As he cut her restraints, she sagged against him. I've got you, he whispered, feeling her tears on his vest. They were going to sell me, she breathed. Like I was nothing. You're everything, Richard said fiercely. You hear me? Everything. She pulled back, and something electric passed between them. The footsteps thundered overhead. Their window was closing. Can you shoot? Richard offered her a pistol. Olivia checked the magazine with surprising competence. Top of my class at executive protection, though I preferred negotiation to bullets. Sometimes bullets are negotiation. She laughed actually. Laughed and Richard felt something crack open in his chest. They fought their way out together. Olivia covering his back despite her injuries. She moved with him, trusted him, like a partner who knew every step. Richard, her warning saved his life, her shot dropping a flanking guard. They burst into the rain, Seattle's lights glittering below. Richard guided her to his hidden car. Why? Olivia asked, simply. Why risk everything for me? Richard thought of Emily's faith, Elena's memory. Because you're worth saving. Because I couldn't bear a world without Olivia Hart in it. Tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. My father was right about dangerous men, she whispered, then kissed him soft, grateful, promising everything. The kiss changed everything. When they parted, Richard saw his future in her eyes, not isolation, but something worth fighting for. We should go, Olivia said. They're planning something terrible. In 3 days, then we have 3 days to stop them. Together, she agreed, and the word was a vow. As Seattle blurred past, Richard felt his ghost self settling into new purpose. He'd saved Olivia Hart, but perhaps she'd saved him too. Emily would be proud. Elena would understand. And behind them, the Donovan Syndicate marshaled forces for war. Unaware they'd created their own worst enemy. The safe house materialized from Seattle's mesa. Forgotten corner where past met present. Olivia hadn't spoken during the drive, but her hand remained, and his fingers interlaced like a lifeline. Let me look at you, Richard said, voice rough with emotion. Under proper light, her injuries were worse cigarette burns, bruises painting her face purple. I'm fine, she lied, then swayed. Richard caught her, guided her down. You're the strongest woman I've ever met. Second strongest, she corrected. Emily told me about Elena at the school fundraiser last year. Said her daddy used to smile before the angels took mommy. Said you were broken but still beautiful, like sea glass. The description shattered Richard's composure. He sank to his knees before her. I can't lose anyone else. When I saw that video, I thought I'd be too late again. Like with Elena, she died alone because I chose profit over presence. Olivia's hand found his face. You're here now. You saved me. But for how long? They'll come for you. For me. For horror flooded him. Emily. They'll target Emily. No. Olivia's tone turned steel. We won't let them. We stop them first. You're not alone anymore, Richard. This woman, tortured and traumatized, ready to protect his daughter. Richard pressed his forehead to her knee, overwhelmed. Elena wouldn't want this guilt, Olivia said gently. She'd want you to live, to love, to show Emily that hearts can heal. She was right. Richard began cleaning her wounds, each touch a promise. Tell me about the evidence, he said. Olivia winced, but didn't pull away. 2 years investigating them. They're planning to crash Seattle's infrastructure in 3 days: power grids, communications, transportation. In the chaos, they'll seize control. Thousands would die. Which is why I couldn't stop digging. The evidence is in 3 encrypted drives, hidden separately. We retrieve them, expose everything. They have people everywhere: police, FBI, government. She touched her bruises. And I'm not exactly in fighting shape. You survived 18 hours of torture without breaking. You're stronger than most soldiers. I had motivation. Every time they hit me, I thought about Emily, growing up in the world these monsters wanted to create. I thought about you, actually. The great Richard Lane, who chose love over power. The confession hung between them. Richard couldn't remember the last time someone had truly seen him. Olivia, he didn't know how to finish. She solved it by kissing him, deliberate, claiming, and offering. Richard responded with 3 years of suppressed longing, pulling her closer, mindful of injuries, but hungry for connection. So that's what it's like to kiss a dangerous man who actually sees me. She smiled. Every man you've dated saw the CEO. I see this, the real you. And I don't run. Running is finished. From now on, I stand and fight. The phone rang. Extraction team, 12 minutes out. Richard scanned the street. Still clear. There's something else, Olivia said. A ship arrives tomorrow night with 50 women and children. Human trafficking. We stopped that too. 3 days to save the city and figure out what this is between us. Richard kissed her bruised knuckles. With you beside me, we can do anything. But then headlights swept the window. Vehicles moving too fast. Richard pulled Olivia down as windows shattered, automatic fire raking the apartment. Wrong direction for extraction, he said, checking his weapon. They found us. He pulled her to the hidden exit as the door exploded. They hit the alley running, bullets sparking off brick. Can you swim? Richard asked, eyeing the drainage canal. Richard, I can barely walk. Then hold on tight. He pulled her against him as they plunged into dark water. The cold shocking but necessary. They moved with the current while bullets struck. Concrete above. Later, in a stolen van, Olivia tended his shoulder graze with gentle hands. We can't keep running, she said. We need those drives. Where's the first? My office. They'll be waiting. Good. His smile was predatory. Time they learned what happens when you threaten. What's mine? Yours. Heat flickered in her eyes. Mine to protect. Mine to care about. If you'll let me. Let you, Richard. I've been half in love with you since you told me no 5 years ago. You fought with honor, even as opponents. She pressed fingers to his lips before he could protest. We've both got darkness. The difference is what we do with it. As Hart Industries loomed ahead, surrounded by surveillance teams, Olivia revealed another secreter, pneumatic tube system from the 1920s. Her emergency exit. They crawled through darkness, emerging in her office. She retrieved the drives from a hidden safe, which explains why they wanted you alive. Richard noted as footsteps approached. The door burst open. They fought their way out together. Perfect synchronization born of trust. On his motorcycle, her arms around him, they flew through streets while pursuit. Vehicles crashed behind them. Your father's grave. Olivia directed him to the second location. He started this investigation 20 years ago. They killed him for it. At the cemetery, she retrieved another drive from his headstone. He would have liked you. Said I needed a warrior, not another suit. I come with baggage danger, a daughter already planning our wedding. Did you just propose while grave robbing? That's not. Yes. She kissed him among the headstones. When this is over, when Seattle is safe. Yes. Richard Lane, here in a cemetery, surrounded by death. Life asserted itself. Richard kissed her with desperate hope. The third drive. That's the problem. It's in Victor's personal safe at the Donovan estate. Richard smiled sharp. Then we robbed the devil himself. You're insane, but I've got you beside me. That makes me the luckiest insane man alive. 2 drives secured, 1 to go. The syndicate thought they hunted wounded prey. They'd merely awakened, sleeping dragons. The Donovan estate squatted on Mercer Island, 40 acres of manicured evil. Richard studied it through night vision, while Olivia worked beside him. 20 guards, motion sensors, the works, he murmured. Plus this. She showed him her tablet. Victor's hosting a charity gala tonight. Half of Seattle's elite attending. You want to walk through the front door. Hide in plain sight. I can get us invited. Her eyes sparkled dangerously. Unless the great Richard Lane is afraid of a party. Terrified, but also impressed. 3 hours later, Richard waited outside the hotel where Olivia prepared. When she emerged, his breath stopped. The midnight blue gowns concealed injuries, while revealing enough to stop traffic. She looked like a goddess of war, dressed for diplomacy. You're staring, she noted. You're stunning. Also probably concussed. Noted and ignored. She smoothed his lapel. You clean up well yourself. Ceramic blade in the cufflinks. Polymer pistol in the jacket. The ride felt surreal. Hunted people dressed for society, driving toward their enemy's den. The estate blazed with light. Seattle's elite mingling, while blind to their hosts' true nature. They swept in like they belonged. Richard noted guards, cameras, exits, while they played their roles. Then they spotted Victor's silver-haired distinguished, the torture master, playing benevolent host. Third floor study, Olivia murmured. Shall we mingle first? They worked the room with practiced ease until Senator Morrison approached. Richard Lane, we thought you disappeared forever after your wife's passing. Some causes are worth returning for. And Ms. Hart, we heard you'd gone missing. Just a misunderstanding. Olivia's smile cut glass. Though speaking of rumors, Senator, I heard something fascinating about your campaign funding. Morrison fled. They slipped away during a toast, Richard guiding them through service corridors. 2 guards flanked the study. I've got this, Olivia whispered, stumbling toward them playing drunk. When they moved to help, Richard struck. Inside Victor's study, they found the safe. Biometric locks. Richard frowned. We need Victor. Or this. Olivia produced a device. I lifted his champagne glass. Fingerprints and saliva. You're terrifying. Just now noticing. The safe opened, revealing the final drive marked with her father's initials. He kept it like a trophy. She breathed. Footsteps. The door burst open, backed by 6 guards. Miss Hart. Mr. Lane. I expected something less civilized. We're flexible, Richard said, calculating odds. You have something of mine, including my merchandise. I'm nobody's merchandise, Olivia said coolly. No. Your buyer in Dubai was quite disappointed when you disappeared. Richard moved before thought, blade finding Victor's throat. Call them off or bleed. Kill me, and my men kill you. Shall we negotiate? Wait. Olivia moved close to Victor, whispered something that drained his color. Then she produced a syringe, finding his neck. Precisely. Victor collapsed, convulsing. Tetrodotoxin, she announced. Paralyzed for hours. Long enough to stop your ship. The study erupted in violence. Richard engaged multiple hostiles, while Olivia took cover. The window, he shouted. 3 floors. Trust me. She did. They rappelled down together, her gown billowing as they descended. Alarms wailed. Guests scattered. They sprinted across wet grass. Olivia barefoot. The dock. Richard guided her. Extraction waiting. God, did you see Victor's face? Despite everything, she laughed, wild and free. They kissed as Marcus's speedboat arrived. 3 drives secured, and war declared. Tomorrow would bring the final battle, 50 lives to save, an empire to topple. But tonight, speeding across dark water with Olivia in his arms, Richard felt something he'd thought lost forever. Hope wrapped in midnight blue silk. The ghost was dead. The man remained, and he had everything to fight for. Dawn broke gray over Seattle as Richard and Olivia huddled in Marcus's safe house. 3 drives spread before them like keys to the kingdom. Olivia worked furiously on a laptop, decrypting files, while Richard coordinated with trusted contacts. My God, she breathed. It's worse than I thought. The infrastructure attack is just the beginning. They have senators, judges, police commissioners. They own half the city. Not for long. He studied the trafficking data. The ship arrives at Pier 47 tonight. 50 souls in shipping containers. We can't trust local law enforcement. They'll tip off the syndicate. Then we handle it ourselves. Richard's phone buzzed Emily's school. His blood froze. Mr. Lane. Emily's fine, the principal said quickly. But there was an incident. A man tried to claim he was here to pick her up. Security stopped him. But I'm on my way. Richard's hands shook as he ended the call. They'd gone after his daughter. Olivia saw his face change, the cold fury replacing fear. They tried to take Emily. Oh God, she was already moving, grabbing weapons. We get her safe first. Everything else can wait. But Richard's secure phone rang Victor, supposedly paralyzed for hours. Impressive toxin. Ms. Hart. Victor's voice was strained but venomous. But I've built immunity to many poisons. A necessary precaution in my line of work. What do you want? Richard's voice could have frozen hell. A trade. The drives for your daughter's safety. Oh, I don't have her yet. But accidents happen. Traffic incidents, playground falls. Children are so fragile. Olivia grabbed the phone. You touch that, little girl, and I'll burn your entire world to ash. Fierce. Your buyer will appreciate that spirit. Victor laughed. Midnight Pier, 47. Bring the drives, or tomorrow, Seattle mourns a tragedy. And Ms. Hart, we're something pretty. Your new owner prefers silk. The line went dead. Richard stood frozen, every nightmare crystallizing. They threatened Emily. His sunshine, his reason for living. We're not giving them the drives, Olivia said firmly. And we're not letting them touch Emily. How? They have eyes everywhere. The moment we move, then we make them think we're not moving. Her CEO mind raced. Marcus, can you create decoy drives? Convincing enough to pass initial inspection. Give me 2 hours. Marcus nodded. Richard, call Mrs. Chen. Code 7 emergency protocol. He did, his hands steadier now, with action to take. Mrs. Chen confirmed Emily was safe. The school on lockdown. Private security en route. She's scared, Mrs. Chen reported. But brave, like her father. Richard closed his eyes. Emily trusted him to keep her safe. He'd failed Alina. He would not fail their daughter. I have an idea, Olivia said. But you won't like it. She outlined a plan that was equal parts brilliant and terrifying. Use herself as bait. Let them think they'd won, then strike when they were overconfident. Absolutely not, Richard said. I won't risk you again. You're not risking me. I'm choosing this. She gripped his hands. 50 women and children in those containers. Richard, your daughter's safe at home because we stopped monsters tonight. That's worth any risk. I just found you, he whispered. I can't lose you too. You won't. She kissed him fierce and certain. We're going to win. Save those people. Destroy the syndicate. Then, have that tea party Emily's planning. 6 hours later, they prepared for war. Real drives uploaded to secure servers. Evidence dispersed to journalists worldwide. Set to release if they didn't check in. Decoy drives in hand. Weapons concealed. Richard wore tactical gear under a business suit. Olivia had changed into a red silk dress. If they want pretty, I'll give them beautiful defiance. Ready? He asked. No, terrified. She smiled anyway, but doing it anyway. That's courage, right? That's courage. They drove toward Pier 47 as sunset painted Seattle crimson. The port loomed ahead, containers stacked like metal mountains. Somewhere in that maze, 50 people waited for salvation or slavery. Whatever happens, Olivia said, I want you to know these past days have been the most alive I've felt in years. You woke me up, Richard Lane. You saved me, he replied. From the walking death I called life. Then let's go save everyone else. The pier stretched before them, destiny waiting in shadows and steel. Behind them, Emily waited safe. Ahead, the syndicate prepared their trap. But Richard and Olivia had their own surprises planned. The ghost and the CEO, love forged in fire, walking into darkness with eyes wide open. Time to end this. Time to bring everyone home. Pier 47 rose from Puget Sound like a metal graveyard. Containers stacked in rusting towers against the dying light. Richard counted 17 hostiles through his scope, More than expected, less than feared. The syndicate had brought an army to collect their prizes. 2 teams, Olivia observed from beside him, her tactical gear incongruous with the red silk dress, one guarding the containers, one waiting for us. The trafficking victims are priority, Richard said. Everything else is secondary. Agreed. She checked her weapon with steady hands. Marcus is in position. North entrance with backup, FBI tactical teams, standing by the clean ones you identified from the drives. Then let's give them a show. They drove on to the pier like sacrificial lambs, headlights announcing their arrival. Victor Donovan waited at the center of an armed semicircle, no longer the polished host from the gala. This was the true monster-scarred, cruel, victorious Mr. Lane Ms. Hart. How punctual. His smile promised pain. The drives, if you please. Richard held up the decoys. The people in those containers go free first. You're hardly in a position to negotiate. Victor gestured, and red laser dots bloomed on their chests. But I'm feeling generous. You can watch them loaded onto trucks bound 4 markets across the country. Consider it a preview of Ms. Hart's future. No, Olivia stepped forward. Every inch, the CEO, despite being surrounded by killers. You want me cooperative for your buyer. Then prove you can keep a deal. Release them. Victor studied her with reptilian interest. You know, I almost regret selling you. Such fire, such foolish nobility. He nodded to his men. Open container 7. Let them see what they're failing to save. The metal doors swung wide, revealing horror women and children huddled in darkness, blinking at sudden light. Some were teenagers, some barely older than Emily. All wore the hollow look of those who'd learned hope was dangerous. Richard's rage went nuclear. Beside him, Olivia made a sound like a wounded animal. Monsters, she breathed. Businessmen, Victor corrected. Supply meeting demand. Now, the drives, or we start shooting merchandise to motivate you. Richard handed over the decoys. His other hand finding Olivia's, she squeezed back. Their prearranged signal. In 60 seconds, Marcus would cut the light. Excellent. Victor examined the drives perfunctorily. Kill Lane, load Hart with the others. Her buyer appreciates damaged goods. Wait, Olivia said. I want to say goodbye. She turned to Richard, and time slowed. Her kiss was desperate, passionate, a lifetime compressed into heartbeats. But more importantly, it let her press the hidden detonator into his palm. Now, she whispered against his lips. Richard triggered the device as the lights died. The pier plunged into darkness, lit only by explosions charges Olivia had planted on the shipping cranes, creating chaos and cover. In the strobing light, Richard became death incarnate. His first shots dropped Victor's immediate guards. Olivia rolled behind cover, her dress tearing as she found her prepositioned rifle. Together they carved through the syndicate's forces with lethal precision. The containers, Richard shouted over gunfire. Marcus's team swarmed from the north, bolt cutters and crowbars, freeing prisoners. FBI agents rappelled from helicopters that seemed to materialize from nowhere. The pier became a war zone, with innocents caught between. Richard fought toward Victor Bodies, falling at every step. The syndicate leader retreated toward a speedboat, his escape route prepared. Not this time, Richard. Olivia's screams spun him around. A trafficker had grabbed one of the children, a girl, Emily's age, using her as a human shield. Richard's world crystallized. The shot was impossible millimeters between saving and killing an innocent. But Olivia had taught him something about trust. Close your eyes, sweetheart, he told the child softly. She did. Richard fired. The trafficker dropped, the child unharmed. Olivia scooped her up, carrying her to safety, while Richard pursued Victor. He caught the monster at the dock's edge, tackling him before he could reach his boat. They rolled across wet concrete, trading brutal blows. Victor was skilled, desperate, fighting with cornered savagery. But Richard fought for Emily, for Olivia, for 50 souls who deserved freedom. His fist connected with Victor's jaw, snapping the man's head back. Another blow, another, until Victor lay still. Richard, Olivia appeared, smoke-stained and magnificent. It's over. We won. Around them, FBI agents secured prisoners, while freed captives stumbled into Red Cross blankets. The syndicate soldiers knelt in zip ties, their empire crumbling in real time as news stations worldwide received the drive contents. "Emily," Richard asked, exhaustion hitting. "Safe," Mrs. Chen confirmed. Olivia pulled him close. "We did it. We saved them all." Richard looked at the girl he'd saved, now reunited with her sobbing mother. At the other victims finding freedom. At Seattle's skyline glittering with promise instead of threat. "No," he corrected, pulling Olivia into his arms. "We saved each other." The aftermath came in waves. FBI debriefs, medical examinations, Emily's tearful relief when Richard finally made it home near dawn. His daughter launched herself into his arms, clinging like she'd never let go. "You saved her," Emily whispered. "You saved everyone." "We saved them," Richard corrected, seeing Olivia hovering uncertainly in the doorway. There's someone special I want you to properly meet." Emily studied Olivia with those two wise eyes, taking in the bandaged cuts, the exhaustion, the way her father kept glancing at her like she might vanish. "You're the butterfly lady," Emily said. "From the fundraiser. You remembered my name." "How could I forget?" Olivia knelt to Emily's level. "You told me butterflies were just caterpillars with courage to change." Emily nodded solemnly, then threw her arms around Olivia's neck. "Thank you for helping Daddy. He smiles again when he looks at you." Richard's throat closed as his daughter and the woman he loved embraced in his foyer. Elena's photo watched from the mantel, and he could almost feel her approval. "Daddy," Emily pulled back. "Is Olivia going to stay for breakfast? I make really good pancakes." "That's up to her, sweetheart." Olivia met his eyes over Emily's head. "I'd love pancakes. If you'll have me. Forever," Emily said matter-of-factly. "Right, Daddy, right." Richard agreed, meaning it with every fiber. The morning passed in domestic surrealism. Emily chattering about school while flipping pancakes. Olivia helping despite Richard's protests about her injuries. Mrs. Chen beaming at the kitchen full of life again. "It's like when Mommy was here," Emily observed, syrup dripping from her fork, happy. The simple truth destroyed and rebuilt Richard simultaneously. Yes, it was like when Elena was here, not the same, never the same, but alive with possibility. His phone buzzed. "Marcus, media's going crazy. Donovan Syndicate finished. 53 arrests and counting. You two are heroes." "We're not heroes," Richard said, watching Olivia teach Emily a pancake flipping trick. "Just people who couldn't look away." But Seattle disagreed. By noon, their story was everywhere. The billionaire who'd walked away from power, returning to save a CEO and 50 trafficking victims. Requests for interviews, book deals, movie rights poured in. "Absolutely not," Richard and Olivia said in unison, then laughed at their synchronization. "We should probably talk," Olivia said as Emily ran to play, "about what happens now. What do you want to happen, honestly?" She touched a bandage on her cheek. "I want to wake up without checking for threats. Build something instead of fighting. Maybe love someone who sees me as more than a conquest or commodity." "I see you," Richard said simply. "Brilliant, brave, beautiful you. If you'll have Usmi with my ghosts and Emily with her butterfly obsession." "Yes," she kissed him quiet. "To all of it. The ghosts, the butterflies, the complicated, messy, wonderful life you're offering. Even the danger. It won't end with Donovan. There are always more monsters. Then we face them together." Her smile was fierce and tender. "Besides, someone has to keep you from brooding in that penthouse." A month later, Seattle had begun to heal. The trafficking victims were reunited with families or given fresh starts. The syndicate's political puppets fell like dominoes. Hart Industries' stock soared as Olivia became the face of corporate integrity. But the real victory was quieter. Emily's laughter echoing through the penthouse. Olivia's things slowly appearing, a toothbrush, then clothes, then her presence transforming empty rooms into home. Richard learning to smile without guilt, to honor Elena's memory by living fully. Daddy, Emily asked one evening, the three of them watching sunset from the terrace. Are you and Olivia getting married? Richard froze, but Olivia laughed. Your daughter doesn't do subtle. Neither does her father, apparently. He thought of the ring already purchased, waiting for the right moment. What do you think, Em? Should I marry her? Only if I can be the flower girl. And we have butterflies at the wedding. Real ones. Deal, Olivia said, then turned to Richard. Though, traditionally, the man asks first. Olivia heart. Richard dropped to one knee, Emily squealing with delight. You saved me from darkness. You showed me that broken doesn't mean worthless, that love can bloom even in ashes. Will you marry us? Us. Tears ran down Olivia's cheeks. Me and Emily, we're a package deal. The best kind of deal. She pulled them both close. Yes to all of it, forever. Emily cheered loud enough to startle pigeons from neighboring buildings. Can we call you Mom? Not instead of Mommy in heaven, but like extra. Olivia's composure shattered completely. I would be honored to be your extra mom. As night fell over Seattle, Richard held his girls, his daughter, and his future wife and felt Elena's blessing in the warm breeze. Love hadn't replaced loss, but had grown alongside it, proof that hearts could expand infinitely when given reason. The ghost was truly dead. In his place stood a man with everything to live for. The wedding planning began immediately. Emily, appointing herself chief coordinator with 9-year-old determination, she created color-coded binders, butterfly-themed everything, and insisted on interviewing florists personally. This one doesn't understand butterfly migration patterns, she announced after dismissing the third vendor. How can we trust her with flowers? Olivia bit back laughter, loving this child more each day. You're absolutely right. We need butterfly experts only. Richard watched them plan, his heart so full it ached. 3 months since Pier 47, and life had transformed beyond recognition. Olivia had moved in officially, her presence filling spaces he hadn't known were empty. But shadows lingered at the edges. Death threats arrived, weekly remnants of the syndicate seeking revenge. Richard had tripled security, but fear gnawed at quiet moments. He'd painted a target on everyone he loved. Stop, Olivia said one evening, finding him brooding over threat assessments. I can hear you catastrophizing from the kitchen. They'll never stop coming. I've endangered you both. We endangered ourselves. She straddled his lap, forcing him to meet her eyes. I chose this. Emily chose this. Stop trying to protect us from our own decisions. I failed Elena. Elena died in a random accident. Not because of you, not because of choices, but because sometimes terrible things happen. She cupped his face. You can't control the universe, Richard. You can only control how you love us while we're here. The truth of it broke something loose in his chest. He pulled her close, breathing her in jasmine, perfume, and coffee and home. I love you, he whispered, terrifyingly, completely, eternally. Good. Now come test wedding cakes with your daughter before she declares war on the bakery. But the universe had other plans. Richard's phone rang at 2 a.m. Marcus, voice tight with urgency. We have a problem. Alexei Volka, Victor's mentor from the Russian syndicate. He's in Seattle. Richard's blood froze. Volkov made Victor look like a choir boy. If he was here, he wants a meeting, Marcus continued. Tomorrow, neutral ground. He says he has a proposition. It's a trap. Maybe, but he also says he has information about Elena's death. The words hit like physical blows. Elena's death. Random accident. Drunk driver who died on impact. Case closed. Except, what kind of information? He wouldn't say. But Richard, I pulled the accident reports again. The driver he had connections to the syndicate. Connections we missed 3 years ago. Richard's world tilted. If Elena's death wasn't random, if the syndicate had. Richard. Olivia appeared, reading his face instantly. What's wrong? He told her, watching her expression shift from concern to fury. We're going, she said. Both of us. If there's even a chance. It's too dangerous. Stop. Her tone brooked no argument. We're partners in everything, including this. The meeting was set for neutral ground, a public park, in daylight, security teams for both sides. Alexei Volkov looked like a grandfather, silver-haired and elegant, until you saw his eyes empty as winter graves. Mr. Lane, Ms. Hart. His accent was cultured, civilized, veneer over barbarism. Congratulations on your engagement and on destroying Victor's operation. What do you know about my wife? Richard's control hung by threads. Patience. Volkov produced a tablet. 3 years ago, you blocked a major syndicate acquisition. Cost us billions. Victor wanted you dead, but I counseled patience. Better to hurt you first, make you vulnerable. Richard's hands clenched. Beside him, Olivia went rigid. The drunk driver Dmitry Kozlov, my nephew, already dying of cancer, willing to trade his remaining months for his family's financial security. Volkov swiped through documents. We studied your wife's routines, chose the intersection, the timing, made it look random. The world went silent, except for Richard's heartbeat. Alina murdered, targeted because of his business decisions. His choices, his breathe. Olivia commanded, her hand finding his. Richard, breathe. Why? Tell me now. The words came out, raw. Because Victor is dead and I am. Reassessing. The world changes. Perhaps it's time for old monsters to retire. Volkov stood. Consider it a wedding gift. The truth you deserve. What you do with it. He shrugged. That's your choice. He left him in shattered silence. Richard stared at nothing, seeing Elena smile, hearing her last voicemail. Drive safe. Love. Emily and I are making cookies for when you get home. Richard. Olivia turned his face to hers. This wasn't your fault. I killed her. My choices. My enemies. No. Her voice was steel. They killed her. Evil men making evil choices. You don't get to take responsibility for other people's monstrosity. How do I tell Emily? The question broke him. How do I explain that mommy died because daddy made enemies? You don't, because that's not what happened. Olivia gripped his hands. Elena died because monsters exist, period. Not because you fought them, but because they chose violence. I need to think, then think, but not alone. She pulled him up. We're going home, to Emily, to our life. We'll process this together. That night, Richard stood in Emily's doorway, watching her sleep. His sunshine, his salvation, the pure soul Elena died, protecting without knowing it. She wouldn't want this guilt, Olivia said softly, joining him. Elena sounds like someone who chose joy despite darkness. Honor that. How? By living. By marrying me in the butterfly garden Emily designed. By showing her that love continues even when monsters try to destroy it. She took his hand. By being the man Elena knew you could become. Richard pulled her close, feeling truth in her words. The revelation changed nothing and everything. Elena was still gone, but now he knew why. The randomness had been a lie, but perhaps that made his mission clearer. No more hiding, he said. No more walls. If monsters exist, we face them. Together. Olivia agreed. Always together. Emily stirred, mumbling about butterflies. Richard and Olivia stood guard over her dreams, two souls forged in fire, ready for whatever darkness might come, because love was the ultimate rebellion against monsters who dealt in fear. The butterfly garden bloomed impossibly bright for a Seattle spring, as if nature itself had dressed for celebration. Emily had overseen every detail, from the monarch-themed archway to the milkweed borders she'd planted months ago so the butterflies would feel at home. Richard stood at the altar, Marcus beside him as best man, watching guests fill white chairs. Half of Seattle's elite had come to witness the union of two people who'd saved their city, but Richard only had eyes for the garden entrance. Nervous. Marcus murmured. Terrified. Richard admitted. What if she realizes she could do better? She could, but she chose you anyway. Marcus smiled. Elena would be proud, you know, of the man you've become. Before Richard could respond, music swelled. Emily appeared first in a cream dress with butterfly wings, scattering rose petals with surgical precision. She beamed at Richard, mouthing "Don't cry, Daddy," even as his eyes misted. Then Olivia emerged, and Richard forgot how to breathe. She wore silk that seemed to capture light, elegant and fierce as the woman within. But it was her expression that undid him joy, unmarred by the darkness they'd walked through. Love that had chosen him, despite everything. James Hart would have walked her down the aisle. But Olivia walked alone, or rather, with the memory of her father and the strength he'd instilled. She moved like a queen, claiming her kingdom, eyes locked on Richard's. "Hi," she whispered when she reached him. "Hi," he managed back. "You came. Did you doubt every second until now?" The ceremony blurred vows about choosing each other in darkness and light. Emily adding her own promise to be the best daughter to both of you forever and ever. Rings that had been Elena's and James's joined on new hands by the power vested in me. The officiant smiled. "I pronounce you husband, wife, and butterfly coordinator." Emily giggled. Olivia laughed through tears. Richard kissed his bride as butterflies erupted around them. Emily's months of planning paying off in a cloud of wings that turned the air into stained glass. "How did you?" Olivia gasped, watching monarchs dance around them. "Butterfly houses. Donate them for releases," Emily explained proudly. "I wrote letters to 6 different organizations about conservation efforts. Did you know monarch populations have declined by 80% since Richard interrupted gently. "Science later, dancing now." The reception flowed like honey toasts that made them laugh and cry. Emily's choreographed father-daughter-mother dance that she'd practiced for weeks. Marcus telling embarrassing stories about Richard's special Forces days. No shop talk. Olivia had insisted when planning one night without threats or syndicates or saving anyone but ourselves. But fate had other plans. Richard noticed it, first security shifting, Marcus's expression tightening. A waiter who moved wrong held his tray like a weapon instead of service. "Olivia," he murmured during their dance. "We have a problem." She followed his gaze, CEO instincts firing. 3 hostels, maybe more. "Someone crashed our wedding. Emily, Mrs. Chen has her pre-arranged safe room, if needed." Olivia smiled for the cameras while talking through her teeth. "I really thought we'd get one night." "Apparently not." Richard spun her, using the movement to scan threats. "Kitchen entrance, to more. This is coordinated. Volkov's people, wrong nationality. These are local. Someone new." The music shifted to a father-daughter dance. Emily ran to Richard, butterfly wings bouncing. "My turn." Richard lifted her, hyper-aware of every threat, while his daughter chattered about cake flavors. Over her shoulder, he saw Olivia slip away, heading for the security command post. His brilliant wife, handling threats in a wedding dress. "Daddy, you're squishing me," Emily complained. "Sorry, sunshine." He loosened his grip fractionally. Remember our emergency plan?" Her expression shifted. 9-year-old joy replaced by 2 adult understanding. "Bad people at the party. Maybe. When the song ends, go to Mrs. Chen. Stay with her no matter what. But please, trust me." She nodded solemnly. "Protect Mom." The new title made his heart clench. Always. The song ended. Emily walked calmly to Mrs. Chen, who swept her away with practiced ease. Richard moved toward the kitchen, intercepting Olivia, returning from security. "Local gang hired by someone with a grudge," she reported. "They're after me, not you. Apparently, I put their boss's brother in prison. Our wedding day, and they're after you, specifically." Richard almost laughed. "I'm insulted. I'll apologize for being a target later." She hiked up her dress, revealing a thigh holster. "Shall we? You wore a gun to our wedding. You didn't." "He had. Of course he had." They moved together toward the kitchen, just another couple seeking privacy, until they exploded through the doors in synchronized violence. The attackers expected a soft CEO, not a combat-trained couple who'd survived worse. Richard disarmed the first man, while Olivia dropped the second with a kick that sent her dress swirling. They fought back-to-back, wedding attire, no impediment to lethal efficiency. "Behind you," Olivia warned. Richard spun, intercepting a knife, meant for her spine. The blade caught his jacket, slicing fabric, but not flesh. His counterstrike was decisive. The attacker crumpled, unconscious, before hitting the floor. Security swarmed in, late but efficient. The remaining hostiles fled or surrendered. In minutes, the threat was neutralized. Kitchen secured, Emily safe. Well, Olivia surveyed the damage, adjusting her wedding dress. That was exciting. You're insane. Richard pulled her close. Also magnificent. Sweet talker. She kissed him, tasting like champagne and adrenaline. Think our guests notice. The ones that matter won't care. He touched a smudge on her cheek. Sorry about your perfect day. Are you kidding? Her smile was radiant. I married the man I love, danced with our daughter, and got to kick ass in a designer dress. This is the perfect day. They returned to the reception. Explanations minimal. Their real friends understood when you chose to stand against darkness. It sometimes followed you to the light. But love was celebrating anyway, dancing despite danger. One more dance, Olivia asked as the band struck up something slow. Forever, Richard promised. They swayed together, Emily joining them halfway through, the three of them moving as one unit. Around them, butterflies settled on flowers, wings folding with the falling night. I love our weird family, Emily announced. Me, too, Olivia agreed. Me, three, Richard added, holding his girls close. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would always be someone with a grudge, always another monster to face. But tonight, in a garden full of butterflies and witnesses, they'd promised to face it all together. The Lane family, forged in fire, tempered by loss, but ultimately defined by the choice to love despite it all. As the stars emerged over Seattle, Richard Lane, husband, father, protector, had never been more dangerously happy. 6 months of marriage had transformed the penthouse into a home that breathed with life. Olivia's touches were everywhere. Fresh flowers, warm colors, the sound of Emily's laughter echoing off walls that had once known only silence. Family meeting, Emily announced one Saturday morning, marching into the kitchen with her trademark determination. We need to discuss something important. Richard and Olivia exchanged glances over coffee. Emily's family meetings had previously covered topics ranging from butterfly habitat preservation to why she needed a later bedtime. What's on your mind, sweetheart? Olivia asked, pulling Emily onto her lap. I want a brother or a sister, but probably a brother because I already know about girls. Coffee spluttered. Richard coughed while Olivia turned an interesting shade of pink. Richard managed. That's a big topic. I know where babies come from. Emily interrupted Mrs. Chen explained when I asked why butterflies lay eggs. But I mean adoption. Like how you adopted Mom into our family. The simple logic of it struck them silent. Olivia's hand found Richard's across the table. There are lots of kids who need families, Emily continued, like those people you saved from the containers. Some of them were kids without parents. We have extra rooms and lots of love. Richard's throat closed. His daughter, seeing the world's broken pieces and wanting to help fix them. Elena's compassion living on in their child. It's something to think about, Olivia said carefully. Having another child is a big decision. I've made a presentation. Emily produced a PowerPoint on her tablet, with graphs. Despite the serious topic, Richard found himself laughing. Of course you have. They watched Emily's presentation, statistics about children in foster care, benefits of siblings, even a budget breakdown of additional costs. It was thorough, heartfelt, and utterly Emily. We'll think about it, Richard promised. Really think, not just parent speak for no good, because I already told my class I was getting a brother. Emily skipped off, leaving her parents in stunned silence. Well, Olivia said finally, that happened. Graphs, Liv. She made graphs. She's your daughter. Olivia's smile was soft. But she's not wrong. We have room, resources, love. Richard studied his wife. They'd never discussed children beyond Emily. He'd assumed, is it something you want? He asked carefully. I never thought I'd have any of this. Olivia gestured around them. A husband, a daughter, a real family. But now, she met his eyes. Maybe, if you're open to it. Before Richard could respond, his secure phone rang. The emergency line. Mr. Lane, an unfamiliar voice, young and scared. My name is Tommy Chen. I'm 12. My parents worked for the Donovan Syndicate before you stopped them. Now they're dead, and I'm hiding, and I found your number in my mom's things. She said if anything happened, you might help. Richard was already moving, grabbing keys and weapons. Olivia followed, reading his face. Where are you, Tommy? Chinatown, the old restaurant on Jackson Street. Please hurry. They already came to our apartment. I saw what they did too. The boy's voice broke. We're coming. Stay hidden. Stay quiet. They raced through Seattle, Olivia coordinating with their security team while Richard drove. Another child in danger because of syndicate connections. The violence never truly ended, just changed faces. The restaurant was a relic, closed for years. Richard entered first, weapon ready, Olivia covering. They found Tommy Chen huddled in the kitchen, freezer skinny, terrified, clutching a backpack, like a lifeline. Tommy, I'm Richard. This is Olivia. You're safe now. The boy looked up with eyes too old for 12. They killed them because my dad was going to testify about the trafficking routes. Who's they? Olivia knelt beside him, voice gentle. New syndicate, rising from the old one's ashes. Tommy pulled papers from his backpack. Dad gathered evidence, but they found out. Richard scanned. The document shipping manifests, financial records, names he recognized. The syndicate hadn't died at Pier 47. It had evolved. Incoming, Olivia warned, spotting vehicles outside. Back exit, Richard decided. Tommy, stay between us. They moved fast, but not fast enough. The alley erupted in gunfire, Richard shielding Tommy while returning fire. Olivia was a force of nature, dropping attackers with ruthless precision. Car, she shouted. They dove into their vehicle as bullets spiderwebbed the windows. Richard floored it, tires screaming. Tommy curled in the back seat. Where are we going? The boy asked. Richard met Olivia's eyes in the mirror. She nodded, understanding without words. Home, Richard said. We're taking you home. The penthouse had never felt more like sanctuary. Emily took one look at Tommy and shifted into big sister mode, showing him around, chattering about butterflies to fill his shocked silence. He can't go into the system, Olivia said quietly, watching the children. They'll find him. I know, Richard. Are we really doing this? He thought about Elena, about choices that mattered, about a 12-year-old boy with nowhere safe to go and a 9-year-old girl who'd made graphs about siblings. We saved those 50 people from containers, he said. But we can't save everyone. We can save him, though. Give him what the syndicate stole a family. From a family meeting about adoption to actually adopting in one day. Olivia laughed shakily. Emily's going to be impossible. She gets it from her mother. Both of them. That night, after settling Tommy in the guest room, after Emily's delighted proclamations about having a brother, Richard found Olivia on the terrace. You okay? He asked. We went from a couple to a family of 4 in 6 months, she mused. That's either incredibly right or completely insane. Both, Richard agreed. But look at them. Through the window, Emily was teaching Tommy her butterfly identification game. The boy's traumatized expression slowly softening. We're really doing this, Olivia said. Taking on another child. Taking on the new syndicate. Building something in defiance of all the darkness. Together, Richard reminded her. Always together. She turned in his arms, fierce and beautiful. I love our weird, dangerous, beautiful life. Even the part where we adopt traumatized children during gun battles. Especially that part. She kissed him. Though next time, maybe we lead with the paperwork, as Seattle glittered below. The Lane family expanded again, not through planning, but through compassion. Through the choice to open their hearts when it would have been safer to close them. For souls now, bound by choice rather than blood. And, somewhere in the shadows, a new syndicate plotted revenge. Unaware that they'd just given the Lanes another reason to fight. That love was still the ultimate rebellion. 1 year later, the butterfly garden bloomed again, but this time, for a different celebration. Tommy Chun now. Tommy Len adjusted his tie nervously while Emily fixed a butterfly pin to his lapel. Stop fidgeting, she instructed. This is your adoption day. You have to look perfect for the photos. It's just paperwork, Tommy mumbled, but his eyes shone. A year of therapy, safety, and unconditional love had transformed the terrified boy into a thoughtful, young man who protected Emily as fiercely as she championed him. It's not just paperwork, Emily said firmly. It's the day you officially become my brother. Even though you already were, but now it's legal and everything. Richard watched from the doorway, heart full. The journey to this moment had been anything but smooth. New syndicate threats, legal battles, Tommy's night terrors slowly giving way to trust, but they'd weathered it all together. Ready? Olivia appeared, stunning in a suit that meant business. She'd taken point on the legal proceedings, her CEO skills translating perfectly to navigating adoption bureaucracy. No, Tommy said honestly. But yes, does that make sense? Perfect sense. Richard clasped his shoulder. Family is terrifying, also worth everything. The courthouse ceremony was simple judges' words, signatures on documents, the legal transformation of 4 people, bound by choice into a recognized family. But it was Emily's speech that broke everyone. Tommy was alone and scared, like a caterpillar in winter. She read from prepared notes. But our family wrapped around him like a cocoon. Not to trap him, but to keep him safe while he figured out how to fly. Today he's not becoming our brother. He's been that all along. Today we're just telling the world what our hearts already knew. Tommy burst into tears, crushing Emily in a hug that lifted her off the ground. Olivia wiped her eyes while Richard blinked suspiciously. I believe that concludes our proceedings, the judge said, clearing his own throat. Congratulations to the Lane family. They celebrated at the penthouse Marcus and the security team. Mrs. Chen crying happy tears. Friends who'd become extended family. The butterfly garden Emily and Tommy now tended together bloomed overhead, a living reminder of transformation. Speech. Someone called out. Richard found himself standing, champagne in hand, his family around him. 4 years ago, I thought my life was over. I'd lost Alina, nearly lost myself, built walls so high even I couldn't see over them. Then Emily asked me to save someone, and that choice led to Olivia, which led to Tommy, which led to this. He gestured at the gathered crowd, the laughter and light filling spaces that had known too much darkness. We're an unconventional family, forged in danger, built on choice rather than chance. We've faced syndicates and assassination attempts, board meetings and butterfly emergencies that earned laughs. But through it all, we've chosen each other, every single day, to choosing family. Olivia raised her glass. To choosing family. Everyone echoed. Later, as the party wound down, Richard found himself on the terrace with his wife and children. Seattle sparkled below, a city they'd helped save, that had given them each other. Dad, Tommy said quietly, the title still new on his tongue. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Richard countered, for trusting us, for becoming part of this chaos. Best chaos ever, Emily declared, wrapping an arm around her brother. Olivia leaned in to Richard's side. No regrets. He thought about, it's the quiet life shattered, the constant vigilance required, the enemies still lurking. Then he looked at his family, Emily explaining butterfly migration patterns to Tommy, his son listening with genuine interest, his wife, brilliant and brave, who'd chosen to stand with him against every darkness. Not one, he said, not the secure. Phone rang, it always did. Eventually, another crisis, another threat, another choice to make. But Richard silenced it. Tonight was for family, for celebration, for the miracle of 4 broken people who'd built something whole. Butterflies, Emily shouted suddenly, pointing up. Monarchs danced overhead, late-season stragglers drawn by the garden's warmth. They circled the family like a blessing, wings catching the setting sun. Mom would have loved this, Emily said softly. Both. Her mother's Alina, watching from whatever came after. Olivia standing right beside her. She does love it, Olivia said, pulling Emily close. Both versions of her. Tommy captured the moment on his phone, not for social media or posterity, but because he'd learned to hold tight to happiness when it came. A year ago, he'd been orphaned and alone. Now he had a father who'd died protecting him, a mother who'd destroyed kingdoms for his safety, and a sister who'd annoyed him into feeling worthy of love. Family photo, Mrs. Chen called. Proper one for the wall. They arranged themselves, Richard and Olivia anchoring the edges, Emily and Tommy between them, four faces reflecting the same truth, that love wasn't about perfection or safety or simple happiness. Love was choosing each other despite the danger, despite the ghosts, despite every reason to remain safely alone. The camera clicked, capturing the Lane family in all their complicated glory. Behind them, butterflies danced in the garden. The children tended. Below them, a city went about its business, marginally safer, because some people couldn't look away from darkness. And in Richard Lane's heart, where a ghost had once lived, a man stood whole: husband, father, protector, and finally, fully, himself. The transformation was complete. The butterfly had emerged, and together they soared.